So this is a quick key to your first exam, problems like your first exam. So on problem number 2, just a reminder that each column represents a variable. So when you're asked how many variables are in the table, all you have to do is count accurately the number of columns. And then for the rest of that problem, just remember that for certain variable types, you can only use certain types of graphs. And I've summarized them in this table for you so you can look at the types of variables you had in your table. The next problem was about reading a histogram. So let's do a little practice. For example, in this histogram, what if you were asked what percent have ratings less than 80? So here's the number 80. And so what we need are the heights of all of these bars. And so altogether, that would be 13 out of, and now we would have to add together all of the frequencies so that we could see how many were all together in the sample. And in the sample altogether, it was 38. So if we want to change that to a percentage, we would just multiply by 100%. So you would get something like 34.2%. Now this next problem, and then after that, you were asked other questions about what you would use to describe your histogram. So just remember, it's based on the shape. Some of you had skewed histograms, so you should be talking about the median and IQR. And some of you had symmetric histograms. You should be writing about the mean and the standard deviation. In this next problem, you had to be careful. Most people did the first part correctly. Now, it says what percent of the sample, and so we're considering the whole sample in the second question. So for this example, we would have to add together 42 and 58 and 76 and 72 to get the total for this sample. So let me do that quickly for us. So the total sample is 248. Now when we look at this table, we need to now figure out how many got a small gift. So here's small gift. These people got small gifts. So altogether, 58 plus 72 got small gifts, or in other words, 130 got small gifts. And so again, you would multiply this by 100% to change it into a percentage. Part C was the one that gave some people trouble. You had to read the problem and follow the directions exactly. So it says compute and compare the percent in each group, and you were told the two groups to use, no group and small gift. No gift and small gift. So let's first of all focus in on the no gift group. That's this many here. This is the no gift group. And we want to compute and compare the percentage in each gift who sent a donation. So of this group, these are the people that sent a donation. So for the no gift group, we would be computing the percentage 42 out of, and that group had a total sample size of 42 plus 76, in other words, 118. And you would make that into a percentage. Then what you would do is you would look at the second group, and the second group is a small gift group. So the small gift group would be this group right here. So for the small gifts, in this example, the total sample size would be 58 plus 72, or in other words, 130. And of those, 58 sent in a donation. And so what you would need to do in this problem is compare those two percentages and then to decide based on those percentages if you think sending a small gift is effective. Problem 5 was just an application of the empirical rule, so I just want to draw another picture of that for you. So the empirical rule says that if you have data which is symmetric, so I'm just going to draw a smooth distribution. If you start in the center at the mean and then go out one standard deviation to the right and one standard deviation to the left, you will enclose 68% of the distribution. So 1 standard deviation to the right and 1 standard deviation to the left gives you 68%. Unusual, so another thing in that question was asking you what's unusual. It's unusual to be more than 2 standard deviations. So if we went 2 to the right and 2 to the left, anything out here is unusually high, more than 2 standard deviations from the middle, and anything out here would be unusually low, 2 standard deviations below your mean. Problem 68, most people did great. I put comments in the test to try to steer you in the right direction if you were a little adrift. And so let's just do our last problem, number 9. So on number 9, I gave you some summary statistics, and then I asked you some questions. So I made some summary statistics on the number of acres burned in the 50 states due to wildfires. And so here's the summary statistics. Whenever I'm given summary statistics with quartiles, I always draw a picture. So Q1, Q3, and in the middle here would be the median. So what the quartiles do is they divide your data into 25% chunks. So to answer the first question that you were asked in number 9, you were given a number and you have to see where it falls in this table. So example, in my table, that's Q3. And this asks what percent have more than that burned. So that means what percent are greater than Q3? Well, greater than Q3 would be 25%. If I asked what percent would be less than Q3, that would be 75%. So with quartiles, I just highly recommend drawing a picture. And then finally, you were asked about outliers. I already posted a video about the 1.5 IQR rule, but I'll just post another one as part of this answers. So if you want to figure out if something should be an outlier, and again, I just think a picture can be really helpful. What you're going to do is you're going to start at Q3, and you're going to add on 1.5 IQRs. That's going to tell you the location of an upper fence. Anything outside of the fence will be considered unusual. So for this particular problem, I would take Q3, which is 64,835, and I would add on 1.5 times. Now the IQR isn't given in this table, but we know that the IQR is simply Q3 minus Q1, all right? So we would have 64,835 minus 1128. And what that computation tells you is where this upper fence is. If this value is outside the fence, it will be considered unusual. If that value is not over the fence, then it's not unusual. If you have any other questions about how to correct your tests or where you might have gone off a little bit, feel free to email me and I'd be happy to go over it with you.